Chapter 16 Memories of Grade 9 Gym Class. Yeah, gym was horrifying in grade 9. Our teacher was okay, maybe a bit on the prickly, unsympathetic side. The mere word gymnastics conjures up some fun memories. I think that particular unit started off with a super terrifying class of having to vault over the box horse. That seemed a fairly advanced thing to just sort of dive right into to me. The teacher, with a nimble student volunteer to demonstrate, showed how all you had to do was run forward, jump off the little springboard, and somehow easily spring right up over top of the frigging box horse, which, to me, looked way too high off the ground for that. I couldn't believe it. I actually felt my stomach drop in sickened terror. I wasn't alone. There were a couple of other girls I'd gravitated toward early on in phys ed who were pretty much as unenthused as I was. The sportier girls ahead of us in line were sprinting off with no problem and lithely springing over that wooden contraption of doom. When it came time to my two friends and I, we tried to ask if we could just kinda not have to really do it and just bounce on the springboard instead, but our teacher was not having it. She had no sympathy, and everyone had to do it. We were standing there dying. Flora was the first of us three to have to give it a try. She stumbled off shakily, tried to give her mightiest bounce off the springboard, and sort of launched herself upward, but her knees hit the top of the horse, and she toppled headfirst over it and onto the mat on the other side. She was injured and loudly crying. My next friend and I turned white as a sheet. Holy shit! Flora was checked over and directed to the office with another classmate for some ice, or whatever they do in high school when you get hurt, and we were informed thereafter that we no longer needed to spring cleanly over the box horse, and that it was now acceptable to simply jump up, land on the top of it on our knees, and carefully ease our way off from there. Our marks for that unit involved the box horse, the balance beam, and a floor routine encompassing certain compulsory moves, which we would be responsible for composing. Fuck me. Balance beam was horrendous. It felt like I was 9 feet off the ground standing on that, and it was completely illogical to have to do anything on something that was clearly too narrow to be doing jumps and spins on. Barely scraped by on that one. But the floor routine, oh my God, the floor routine. That was giving me nightmares. It would have to include a handstand and a backward roll. Yes, I know that normal kids did that shit all the time. I was not one of those kids, ever. No cartwheels, no handstands. The only time I ever did handstands was in the pool with my swimming mask on. Suddenly, I was going to have to learn how to do a handstand in a hurry. I pleaded with the teacher to have mercy. "No, Karen," she said, "you'll just have to figure it out." Oh my God! I'd also never done a back roll successfully before. I could do front rolls till the cows came home back then, but as far as doing that backwards, I could never quite figure out where to put my head. I don't know. Maybe my head was too big or something, but it just didn't seem to work. And even in elementary, when Mr. G was our gymnastics-loving gym teacher, he relented and just let me and my friend Ty kind of do some lame backwards roll kind of move using one shoulder inside. Fuck, I didn't know what the hell that was. But inevitably, the dreaded day came to do my routine. Before that damn routine, I had never successfully done a handstand in practice. It was do or die. The handstand portion of the program arrived. My spotters stood ready and waiting. I put my palms on the ground, made my arms into rigid posts, and flung my lower body upward with all my might, and I did it! I actually did it! Unbelievable! I kind of flubbed my way through the backwards roll. It wasn't perfect, but it was the best one I ever managed to do. I emerged from that with my head still intact, and my hair electrified with static from the mat. I survived the routine. I may not have gotten the best mark on it overall, but it was a total fucking accomplishment. Gym class was split into two major components, as I recall: the physical portion and the practical in-class portion, health. The sportos in the class hated health and groaned over how boring it was by comparison. I thought it was a frigging relief when we were in health. Health I could do, no problem. My greatest memory of health was during a unit we were doing on women's bodies in pregnancy. In health, we were strongly encouraged to ask questions. Supposedly, no question was silly or stupid or ridiculous, and we were strongly encouraged to not feel ashamed to ask anything. So, during that pregnancy unit, a couple of girls and I were talking about pregnancy and how horrifying it all sounded, and we were troubled by something. I don't know if this was based on rumors we'd heard, or just the logic of pondering all that incredibly strenuous pushing a woman had to do to get the baby out. Anyway, we were freaked out and perplexed by the puzzle of, what if a woman had to number 2 during labor? The question and answer period for labor and birth came up. No question was stupid, right? Wrong. The bravest girl in our group hesitantly put her hand up. What if when you're having the baby you have to poop? It was totally obvious from our teacher's disgusted face and her sniffing as she gathered herself to answer that question that question was clearly unacceptable. So much for asking questions without shame. She spat out something about how if that happened during delivery, it would be a non-issue because we wouldn't care. We wouldn't care! That did not compute, and also, that did not answer the question. I don't recall getting any clear answer on that one. It bothered me so much, I actually had to bring that home to Mom. Mom wasn't too impressed with it either, and as always in these situations that she finds both annoying and completely embarrassing, she would get that line between her eyebrows and shake her head and say, "I don't know," and then proceed to answer the question because she did know. She muttered something succinctly like, "They give you an enema beforehand," and that was that. I had to figure that one out a little bit more on my own, but I was relieved. Turns out that in truth, it's more like what our gym teacher said, and there was no magical enema, but it would be many years before I'd have to experience that for myself. And that was that. I made it through my one and only compulsory year of gym class. Mom was disappointed that I firmly refused to ever take gym again after grade 9 and said how it would be good for me, but fuck that. I was beyond glad I only needed 1 credit in phys ed.